Direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Oh, that's me. Here we go. Another show. Oh, if you people only knew what has been happening at Billy Masters International. But I can't complain to you because we're in a pandemic. And, you know, there are bigger problems than this fabulous show. But you will have noticed there's already been a change to the show, but we'll get to that. Okay, so just to start, I am, of course, Billy Masters, and today is May 19th, 2020. You will notice I have wired headphones today. So, Kenny, don't get upset about this. This is just how it is today. And there has been a change. Oh, my God. And I think my colors could be a little better. You know, I was talking to one of our guests backstage, and we're talking about, she had said, oh, she might have to fix her hair. And I'm like, I need to fix my camera work. Hold on, why aren't the colors so good today? Anyway, we'll get to my problems. Look, I've got problems of my own. How's that? Is that any better? Oh, now I'm a little orangey. Okay, right there. I think that's good. Right there. Okay. So usually we start with a little anecdote from my past. And so I'm going to bring up an anecdote. Now, I will say this was thrown together at the last minute because everything about these 2 days. All right, before I even get to the anecdote, let me tell you about yesterday. Yesterday was a day from hell. People will say I shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to tell this story. The story is somebody who I don't think was necessarily worthy of being on this show, given the caliber of guests we have, had wanted to get on this show. And I had said to his publicist, and the publicist pitched him. I didn't go looking for him. I didn't even consider him. The publicist pitched him and said to me, what about this person who is gay and who had been on a reality show? That's all I'm going to say. And has worked in front of and behind the camera. That's all I'll say. Anyway, so I didn't really, you know, I'd have him as a guest. Nothing against him. He's lovely, I'm sure. But wasn't my first choice. So the publicist said, what if we bring him with somebody that you would consider A level? And I said, fine. So there were negotiations going back and forth. And then I let it go because I didn't care. And I got big guests coming up. Don't forget Thursday, Gloria Allred here for the full hour. So anyway, they came to me and said, how about him with this person? I'm not going to say, but a fiery haired comedian whose house I've been in. You fill in the blanks. And I said, that would be great. I had actually asked her. She hadn't gotten back to me, so sure. It went back and forth and forth and back. She'd do it. She only was basically, here's the bottom line. She was only going to do it with him. She would have no alone time with me. She was locked into a half hour, and he was going to stay for the full hour. So to keep track, someone who I didn't really think was a full show worthy guest was going to be here for an hour. And the person who I thought was a show worthy guest was only going to be here for a half hour. And with him. Went back and forth, but eventually the prissy queenie one, remind me, I hate prissy queens. Don't bother me. I'll sleep with you, but I don't want to deal with you. Said, he was going to pass on the whole thing because he felt disrespected. And that he thought the fact that I went to the A-list / D-list caliber guest was sleazy. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, this is about A caliber guests. So I had hosted LA Pride. Anyway, those two people are not going to be on this show. I had been hosting LA Pride for 7 years, and it was a big job because very visible, Los Angeles, 2 days, Mama and I, and we took turns hosting. It was great. It was one of my favorite jobs I ever had. Thank you to Gay Ann Bruno over at CBS who helped us. Tig, who was our stage manager, was fabulous. Anyway, Joan Jett is on stage, and I noticed someone who looks familiar in the audience. So I kind of got off the stage and wormed around and cozied up next to her. It's Sharon Stone. And I said, "Oh, Miss Stone, thank you." Miss Stone. I never call anyone Miss anything, except for this person who I'm not going to book. Anyway, Miss Stone, thank you for coming to the show. Hope you're having a good time, having a fabulous time. Would you come on stage afterwards and greet the guests? And she turned to me and went, "Sure." So anyway, I got Sharon Stone on stage. And here's a photo of Sharon and I together. Yes, notice we did our hair together. We're very close, Sharon and I. We're like this. Let's see, can I do it? Like this. Anyway, so I've had Sharon Stone, you little prissy queen. I don't need you. Who I do need is my guest today. So this was touted as a big show, historic really, because we are going to have best friends, Lainey Kazan and Michele Lee together. And while they've both individually talked about the experience in the musical Seesaw, they've both given their side. Go get my friend Rick McKay's documentary, Broadway, The Golden Age. And they both told their story and they cut back and forth because they did interviews separately. This was going to be the first time we got it down for posterity together. Lainey is ill. Lainey is not with us today. And in a way, it's kind of better because I had so many questions for my first guest, because I've known our first guest for a long time. Michele Lee. Here's what I didn't know about Michele Lee when I first met her. When I first met her, it was the Knots Landing years. And she was fabulous. She was glamorous. She was sexy. She was talented. She could act. She could do everything. I didn't know when I first met her about her Broadway pedigree. Then I didn't know about the whole singing career. Then I started seeing her in made-for-TV movies, which she produced, which we will talk about. And then she worked with one of my best friends, Charles Busch, returning to Broadway. So we have intersected lives so many times. And this past November, the original cast of The Tale of the Allergist's Wife reunited for a benefit reading, which raised money for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, I think. Oh, no, I think it was the Actors Fund. She'll tell me. And that was in November. And then the very next month, I saw her, Joan Van Ark, and Donna Mills with The Eyes. The Eyes Have It. They reunited at the Hollywood Museum. So we're talking about getting them all together. But my one guest, my favorite of all the guests, and the one that showed up, Miss Michele Lee.
Thank God you called me Miss. It's Miss from now on.
How are you today? What
I'm
day
so good. Oi, wait.
I love the hair. It's so, it's so Karen, when she'd be home.
Wait. So what?
You're so crazy. One thing I have noticed about you over the years, you don't stand on ceremony. You're not somebody who people have to take care of. You're just, I'm Michele. What do you want?
Right.
Have you always tried to be that way?
And no story there. I'm Michele. What do you want? Okay, wait. That's how I got the job. Go on.
Have you always been like that? Like you have gone through really, really highs. Have you ever gotten caught up in the fame and thought, I'm fucking Michele Lee. What do you want?
I'm fucking Michele Lee. No, I'm sorry. Oh, God, I never used that word. You made me say it.
Oh, God, in the first 5 minutes.
No, let me tell you. When I was doing, people in New York knew me because of my work in New York, okay? Mm-hmm. And early on, I was singing also. I was an entertainer, and they knew me in New York. However, when Knots Landing happened, if I go to New York, they don't know from, right? It's the show I Loved You in X, whatever it is. And then the people in Seesaw, excuse me, I'm having a moment. The people on Knots Landing had no idea that I had this background. I mean, I did so many Broadway shows.
Right.
So, but I will tell you, when I was in, I'll be back in a minute.
Just think for a second. Thank you.
When I was in Knots Landing, it was so ridiculous that no matter where I went, people were staring. And I got to the point, not that it meant I was the biggest star in America. It was just a huge show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I was the kind of person who I didn't like being stared at. I would much rather someone come up to me and say, "Hi, Michelle, how are you? Oh my gosh, I love your show." If they just are out there and they say it. But I felt very uncomfortable. People would do their little, "Oh, I think that's."
And pretend they're not looking, right?
Right. So,
you know, I think it's interesting because you came in so seasoned and with so much experience that you worked your way up really from the bottom. You paid your dues, that you didn't get caught up in all that star crap. Do you think people who came in at the top have a whole different experience?
It's a strange phenomenon, you know. It's not, what you just said is not actually so true, because I'm going to tell you the story of my first audition. My father was a makeup artist in Hollywood. He did many wonderful people that you would know. Dick Chamberlain, on Dr. Kildare, and Clint Eastwood, and many, many other people. So I always wanted to entertain. And he said, "Okay, Michelle, it's really going to be rough. You're going to get knocked down before you get up. They're going to say no, because you're too tall, you're too whatever, you're too fat or thin. And so you better experience this. It's tough." So my mother took me to my first audition for a show called Vintage 60. And it was at a small theater here in Hollywood, Ivar Theater.
Oh,
so
okay.
I got into, my name was Michele Lee Dusick, by the way. So I got in this, the house of the theater. I saw people auditioning, and I fell in love with a choreographer who had real yummy muscles and this cowboy hat and boots, if you know what I mean. He was jumping on and off the stage. I fell immediately in love with him. I got up on the stage and I sang "You Made Me Feel So Young" in the key of F, 1.5 choruses and a tag. And I will tell you, the producers stood up and applauded me. Okay.
Wow.
I went home. I'm not bragging. This is what happened. Okay. I went home and the phone rang, and they said I got the job. Okay. So my mother had explained gay, and my father had to eat his makeup. His makeup sponge.
Because he's telling you you're going to be told no, you're going to have all this rejection, and your first audition, you got a part.
And it went to New York. David Merrick brought it to New York. Now, people out there might not want to hear all these stories. I'm sure
I want to
rather hear about my sex life.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay. Okay. No, so I did several shows on Broadway, and at that time we were having these variety specials, you know, where I would sing and dance and do all this stuff. And then again, as Knots Landing ultimately happened, there were more people staring then than I ever had in any part of my career. Now, you know that Donna Mills and Joan Van Ark and I are still very close friends.
I was with the three of you, sure.
You're right. We did the 40th anniversary of Knots Landing, believe it or not, at the Hollywood Museum, which was quite extraordinary.
And the exhibit, I think, is still up. When they reopen, people will be able to see it.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's so many incredible things at the museum. My father being the makeup artist, there's Max Factor. There's a Max Factor room that you forget it. Stars and everything you would want. Anyway, back to me, Michele Lee.
Yes, what's it to you?
Right.
But so now when you went to New York, you really were, I would consider, the epitome of the gypsy, that you danced, you acted, you sang, you did it all. And you made the rounds. And is that how you met Lainey?
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I remember her. Lainey Casanti was going to be here today. Wait a minute.
She's a little ill.
Lainey. She's here. She's here.
Yep. She's
Lainey.
with Connie.
Hello, darling. Darling.
You know, you do bear a striking resemblance to her.
Yes, there is. It's from it's my boobs.
Yes, I am familiar with your boobs.
Anyway, no, Lainey and I, this is true. When I did a show on Broadway, a musical called Bravo Giovanni.
Was that with Cesare Siepi?
Yes, Cesare Siepi for the audience.
Baritone from the Metropolitan Opera. Yep.
Yes. And I played the ingenue. He falls in love with, okay? Mm-hmm. In the chorus. Excuse me, in the chorus. It's Lainey Casan. Now, let me tell you, Lainey, as you know, I mean, people adore her, and she is the best, okay? And she had this body, this bobacious body. I'm trying to get my boobies up, but they won't go.
They're not going to ever get to Lainey's size, I know.
Right. So anyway, we became fast friends.
Yeah. I
was 18 going on 19, or I was 17 going on 18, and she was 46, I think. I'm only kidding.
Well, she is, I think, a couple years older than you. So
yeah,
she'd been making rounds. But you both
we lived in the same apartment building.
Oh, I didn't know that.
With the apartment. She was down the hall.
Was that one of those women's hotels that the actress
was
in? Oh, all right.
There's women and men.
Oh, men too. Michelle.
Darling.
I didn't know men were there.
So we became very, very close friends. And that's why, oh, jeez.
It's all right. I'm looking for my phone. It's fine. We can both look for things.
That's
Michelle,
why when Seesaw happened.
Yeah.
That's why when Seesaw happened, it was a strange time for us and an unhappy time.
Now, I just want to go back for a second because you said you did a lot of TV shows. I found a clip, and this is a very young Michele Lee. Oh, my God.
Oh, okay. Don't look.
So when I show the clip, you can play with your hair.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Here's a clip of Michele very young.
I'll face the unknown. I'll build a world of my own. No one knows better than I myself. I'm by myself. No one around. I'm by myself.
Oh my God.
That is just a little fabulous. And again, it seems to me all of you guys back then had the training to really be able to sell a song if you needed to, sell a dance if you needed to, act a scene. The training was extraordinary.
Yeah, well, you know, I didn't have much training. The voice was given to me by she up high.
Uh-huh.
But I had no fear. All right. So
I mean, that is fearless singing.
I had no fear when I went to that first audition. It was like, you know, so I didn't have to support myself. Right. So I just sang. Now that show, the show I was in then was How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And that was Danny Kaye's show that you just played.
Okay.
It was it was maybe my introduction to television.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because you do look very confident. And again, that fearless quality to sing that exposed, to bring the chest up and really sell a song is a very hard thing to do. And it's only when you stop singing that I see, oh, she looks a little like a real, when you're singing, you have more confidence than if you're just standing there. Does that make sense?
At that age.
Yeah.
Yes. At that age. Yeah. I felt in my zone when I was entertaining, when I was singing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the wonderful thing about being on stage as opposed to the camera is when you're in that zone and you know what you're singing and what you're singing about, you can hear nothing in the audience. It's like you're in an altered state. And the feeling of that is beyond anything any entertainer or actor could want in their lives. The great performances I've seen of actors on the stage, that's my dog.
That's okay. We've had dogs from, everybody has had their dogs on. We're all here.
In a while. But anyway, you know, when you see great actors in the theater and you're sitting there and the moment is high and the performance is so unique and real that you actually start holding your breath. And that's that sense of silence. And everybody's holding virtual arms and hands around each other when that happens. I went off, but yeah.
No, I get it. And you mentioned How to Succeed. Was that because you got that film? Was that the big film breakthrough?
Before was that first? I guess so. No, wait. So somebody tell me out there, I did the Love Bug, the first one.
Okay.
With the helmet. It's kind of the helmet I have on right now. And then I did a movie called The Comic. Yeah, How to Succeed was first.
Was that a breakthrough? Because you got also the big song, which was a big surprise to everybody.
Well, actually, what you're talking about for the audience is the big hit song in How to Succeed was I Believe in You. I believe in you. So in the show on Broadway, Bobby Morse, who starred in the show, sang it to himself in the mirror. I believe in you. You know, that performance was amazing. But anyway, at the end, as a reprise, Michele Lee sang part of I Believe in You, but it was a reprise. It was a reprise in the movie because it was so successful. He did it in the mirror to himself. And I sang to Bobby. The song is a ballad.
And let's just show a little clip of that.
Oh my God.
To see the cool, clear eyes of a seeker of wisdom and truth. Yet with the slam, bang, tang, reminiscent of gin and vermouth. Oh, I believe in you. I believe in you.
Yeah.
What a beautiful moment that is.
You know, I loved Bobby Morse. I still do. I love Bobby Morse. And I used to stand in the wings every night and watch everything he did. I learned so much from him. And during the intermission, he would call me into his dressing room. He said, you know, if you just wait like 2 more seconds, just count 1, 2, and say the line, you're going to get a laugh. And so he was.
And did you?
Yeah, he was training me on that. But you know, the clip you just showed was one take.
No.
One take print. There were no camera cuts. It was one camera circling the two of us, and that was it. And guess what else? Lib.
Yeah. Wow.
No. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Go home. Everybody go home. Rent the movie.
It's great.
You'll see it never. Okay.
And did you have any experience doing that beforehand?
Lip syncing? No.
Yeah. Because it is flawless lip sync, and most people are not good at it.
Yeah, no, it was. And at that time, it wasn't cheating. It wasn't called cheating.
No, that's what everyone did.
They had to do that, yes.
And it's funny because when people try to get away with it now, I'm like, I think it's been a lost art because I think it was so common for all of you. It's part of what you were expected to be able to do. And you did it beautifully. And to also bring scale the performance down for that intensity of a single camera is a really hard thing to do. Yeah. I don't think people at home realize that.
I was in love with him here and here as the actor, and I never took my eyes off of him. And that's when people start watching what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you know, why is it that so many theater people can't scale it down for the camera, and so many camera people can't play to the back of a house, but you could do both?
You know, I don't know. For a long time, Bobby had a problem in film because he was so all over the place, right? And he finally did it. There are a lot of people who can, as you know today, with television being so brilliant as it is today, for the most part, you see actors who've only done movies doing incredible work on the small camera.
But not necessarily on the stage. They think it's going to be easy, and it is hard work.
Yeah. Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, that's why in Knots Landing, our actors were so wonderful because most of the actors on Knots Landing had stage experience. So that makes a difference. Yeah. That's cool. It does make a difference.
Yeah.
And getting back to Knots Landing again, I was even though they called it a soap opera, and it certainly was the last years of Knots Landing, I hated it. I will say that. I hated it. I loved my character. I loved the show, the people behind the camera, my comrades. They were very special. But in order to play the game at that time, it went from a very select kind of a look and story to this overly dramatic show that went way too far. We went for 14 years, don't forget.
Yeah, longer than any of the other daytime.
Yeah, you go for 14 years and you're going to get into the...
But do you think that having the theater training allowed you to then, when the stories got bigger and crazier, to be able to handle it because you had that theater training?
I'll tell you, my character, Karen Fairgate Mackenzie, was the rock. They called her the Rock of Gibraltar, and her marriage was the good one. We would never stray. That I will tell you, as outrageous as anything happened in the show, on the script, on the screen, it was usually not us.
Yeah.
Kevin Dobson, who played my husband, and me. Right. It was everybody else. So I would just watch it and think, oh my God, where's Kim Kardashian? We need her now.
But I think that also, whenever I watched it, I always felt to myself, you know, that is a character that stayed true to herself, to her beliefs, to her morals, to her values. She was almost like the conscience of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. It does. It became at times, when you're on a show that long, which afforded me so many other things that I could do in my career. But the problem is it gets boring.
Well, sure.
She was always one that was either solving someone's problems or sticking her nose in them. I was like,
well, it's funny. So we just talked about the character. Let's just show a clip, which I think really sort of sums up what you just said. So let's look at this.
Yeah, well, check with me in about 50 years, Polly.
I am not a Pollyanna.
Ha!
Not now, not after what was done to me. And that's why I feel so angry.
What, that you're not a Pollyanna?
I want to be a Pollyanna. I don't want to look at the world through rose-colored glasses. I want the world to be rose-colored. I want people to be nice. People should be nice. Nice should be the norm. I hate it that I can't trust anyone. I hate it that I can't put my daughter on the front lawn by herself. I hate it that I have to lock my car and I have to worry about an alarm system in my house and I can't send cash in the mail. That's not the way it's supposed to be, Gary. I liked being a Pollyanna. I want to be a Pollyanna.
So I think that kind of sums her up. I mean, she isn't caught up in that drama and she doesn't want to be.
yeah. Oh my God, I did it worse. I'm so sorry. Everybody out there, okay. Everybody out there, just know that I'm usually intelligent and I'm usually not aware of how I look.
At all.
At all. So right in the middle of the damn story, I'm seeing a thing flying up. Makeup. Okay. Wait, what were you just saying? Oh,
So, but that clip, you know, that really sums up Karen's attitude. That she has a world she wants to live in,
and
she doesn't. Yeah, right, and doesn't want to get caught up in the nighttime drama. She wants to have a life.
Right. And you know, the reason that the Pollyanna speech, as it's called, was so important to everybody and hence became something that they always attached to the name, Michele Lee, is because at that moment of time, it was when we first started seeing, there's a little girl who was snatched off her front lawn. And all of a sudden, we, instead of being able to walk into Aunt Ethel's back door with a pie, we had to lock them because people were starting to steal and whatever. So that was the moment of time that Karen had this speech. And it just hit home with everybody. And it's so
you're speaking up for everybody in the suburbs of how they felt.
Yes. And we all, that speech, when you listen to it, in terms of what is going on today, whether it's political or, you know, anything that we're going through other than that, it's so true. I don't know. I want to be a Pollyanna. I don't want to take this mirror away from me. Oh, it was. It is a time where we'd like to go back in time a little bit. There was something so much more simple. I mean, that we have to go through kind of this world which is unimagined. I do sometimes with the virus. I'll think, you know, when you really kind of think about it instead of float through it in your aloneness. When you think about it, it's unfathomable.
That we're living through this.
Another world. Did we wake up in another world? It's odd. And then, of course, the political arena, which I won't get into. Oh, God forbid I should. It's like living through a kind of hell.
Yeah. How are you doing through this quarantining and the pandemic? How are you doing through this?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened. It was the first time I've really been alone. And I liked it. I do like it. I like it until the night hits. I stay busy during the day. I'm redoing drawers. I'm making photo albums. I'm talking to people on Zoom.
Sure.
Even my hair looks much better than it does right now. Okay, but
But there is a realness about this that nobody, like when I started doing this, people were like, oh, could you get better lighting? Could you do this? I'm like, but it's not really about that. It is about just connecting with people the best we can.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think one of the reasons people say, you know, as you introduced me and said, Miss Lee will be on any moment. No, as you introduced me, you said she's real, she's whatever. Yeah. This is my persona. This is who I am. Okay. And that's why the analogy, when I talked before about people staring at me, that's not me. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Getting into an elevator at that time, I cannot tell you. People on either side of me, I felt this one was looking at my nose.
Right.
This person
why are they
down my neck. Oh, just come up to me and say, hi, what's new?
So I'm gonna tell a story that I saw you November when you did the reunion of The Tale of the Allergist's Wife to raise money for the Actors Fund. And I was backstage to see Charles Busch after the show ended. You were one of the first people that was heading over to the party. You came by me at the security stand. You knew me, you weren't sure how, and you came up to me and said, excuse me, don't I know you? Oh, Billy, how'd you like the show? Like, it was, you know, typically a star will like wait to be approached, and you're just, hi, do I know you? I'm Michele, you know, and that is how I have always encountered you.
And then we did see each other at the museum.
At the museum, right.
Girls and I were doing the 40th anniversary.
Well, that's the thing, is that all of a sudden it's like a Michele-palooza. You're everywhere. Like the virus, you're everywhere.
Yeah.
But in a good way, Michele. Michele, how did you get Tale of the Allergist's Wife? Because that was a big deal.
Yeah, I actually flew in. Somebody thought I'd be good for it, and then it was starring and already hired Linda Lavin and Tony Roberts. And I came in, and of course they wanted to know what the fit was, and I actually read with them.
Oh, what a joy!
Yeah, with the director, and to see what the fit was. And of course that role was so interesting because you never really knew who she was. What was she, a figment of their imagination?
Or if she was, right.
And then the turn in it was her seducing this couple. And so Michele Lee doesn't do that kind of thing.
Or does she?
Yeah, no, so it worked out. And
was it a role you liked? Did you like her? Did you like Lee?
Oh, did I like her? Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. And because I'm pausing, there's a part of me that did not. I think
really?
Because, yeah, you know, there's a part of me that did not because I think, well, to me, the actor never says or tells anybody what they're really thinking, but she was a lie.
Because she had so many things she was tossing out. How could that all have been true?
Yes. And of course, the other side of it is that she's Johnny Appleseed. She's going into people's lives and changing the way they look at the world. And that's what I think she was doing with them. But, you know, you had to really imagine who she was as the actor. Now, Charles Busch has remained my very close friend. I adore him more than anything. I see everything he does.
Well, since he's your good friend, let's bring him on.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, darling.
Well, what a cue, huh? Charles was waiting.
Well, I'm just glad that she didn't say, "Oh, that horrible piece of crap that I stuck in for those years."
Oh, Michele, we've got you.
Oh, you did get me. I love you so. Wait, let me get in the frame here.
You're perfect.
I just cannot believe you're here. I love you so much.
You can't believe he's here either.
I haven't seen you since that wonderful night in November. That was you've had so many memorable nights, but that was an incredible night for me. I'll never forget.
Well, you got to take over Linda's role, and Linda played your mother.
Role. And I will tell you, I have never seen anything so funny and so much theater. I think that maybe people didn't even know that Charles had that part of him that was so commanding and so right on and funny and so in this character. Go on.
Well, it wasn't a part that I ever wanted to play. Really one of the, it's not really what I do, because I tend to play kind of pastiche of kind of evoking movie actresses of the past.
It's funny. Can I just interrupt?
Contemporary lady. It's not really what I particularly do.
Charles, I could see you playing Lee quicker than I would have thought you playing Marjorie.
Well, I guess if you're looking at some of the other parts I've played, although, the Allergist Wife did start off from a character that I used to do in a solo show called Miriam Passman, where I still occasionally do these videos. So it was based on that. But then when I had this opportunity to write a play for Manhattan Theater Club, a real goal of mine was to, I wanted to write a big starring role for an actress over 40, because people aren't writing roles, and so that was kind of the goal, to write for a biological, actress, big part. And in fact, it was such a killer role that when we asked Linda to do it, she turned it down because she said she didn't want to work that hard. And I never really quite believed it until the one night I played it. I don't know how those broads did it for years on end. I could never do it. There's no way I could have ever played that part in a run.
Charles, do you remember Michele coming in for this reading? Were you there that day?
I must have been. It really was. It's so hard to remember back. Things like that. I do remember that my late manager. 30 years, Jeffrey Melnick, who I just missed so much, and I didn't realize he passed away a few months ago, and I still didn't realize I was going to miss him as much as I do. And anyway, he's the one who first mentioned what do you think about Michele Lee? And of course, immediately I thought, oh well, I mean, could you be more perfect, Mm-hmm. And so then it wasn't like Michelle's auditioning, Michele Lee does not audition, So
Miss Lee.
Miss Lee does not audition. Tempted to come to New York, and she, we all met and just could see that it wasn't an illusion, that she was indeed as spectacular looking as she is. And it wasn't just, an illusion. And
right, an illusion.
She was just so much in the world. She and Tony and Linda just were so perfect that they were in the same world, and it was just we were so fortunate, because it was a big Michele. Right, it had been many years since you had been in Seesaw, since the last time you appeared on Broadway, and so that was a real coup for us to have Miss Lee return, not a comeback, but return.
Start out at the Little Theater at Manhattan Theater Club, and it got such spectacular reviews, and it was going so well that it was, we're going to Broadway. And that was the genius of this man. Which man? You.
The other side, you.
Had nothing to do with it.
It was me. It was all me. Although I do remember that must have been a thrill when you did get the official word that you were transferring to Broadway, because Michele, now you came into this thinking, I'm going to have fun. I'm doing an off-Broadway show with some friends, playing a great character, and that's that. So what was it like when all of a sudden we're going to Broadway? This is now being talked about as a big commercial run.
It wasn't a big deal. I was so used to fame and fortune.
We've been so many Broadway shows for you. It's it
was amazing.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, it was my first play on Broadway. I'd had kind of long career as the leading lady of my plays off Broadway, and I'd never really, it's said the most odd thing. And it's probably my tragedy that I've never really had the big dream. I just kind of go from adventure to adventure. And so it was never a thought of mine, like, I must get a play on Broadway and I'll do anything. But then when suddenly this play at Manhattan Theater Club, which was rather prestigious anyway, Manhattan Theater Club.
Oh, yeah. Big deal.
Top level nonprofit.
And a great cast.
Yeah. Well, then the reviews were so fantastic, and the celebrities coming back stage at Manhattan Theater Club, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, and
and wrote fan letters.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Paul Newman wrote me. I got a letter from Paul Newman, and it said that he and Joanne Woodward, who always accused each other of never really laughing out loud, found themselves laughing like old whores.
That's what he said.
Yeah, it was just incredible. Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft.
Wow.
And so it was. You knew that it was exciting, and so then I did have the fantasy. Oh, could this transfer? And then really, seemingly rather quickly, the pieces all came into play, and it seemed rather obvious in a way that it was it was a commercial comedy, and then with these three commercial stars. So then,
Michele, when did you realize that it was going to take off? Did you know when you just read it, or when did it hit you?
Not when I read it, but as soon as we got on stage. As soon as we got on stage, there was a sense and a feeling of this comic thing that was going on with an undertone of another kind of truth. And that's what I love about, these subtle messages that are going through any play, really. And the angst that one can feel as one is feeling, as the Linda Lavin role did. That life is going by and I'm not worth anything. So I'm going to stick myself in a book and I'm going to make myself relevant. And that was the special thing about the show, because it was nonstop laughter.
Yes.
With poignant moments that you felt that lived inside you.
It was also, it's been really very rare in the past 40 years, honestly, that there is a comedy on Broadway. And there really hasn't been one since. And actually, I remember a few years ago, Michele and I were at some kind of Manhattan Theater Club gala or something. We were sitting next to each other in the audience. And Barry Grove, who's the managing director, I think is his title, was making a speech, and he said, and we, among our achievements at Manhattan Theater Club, we produced Tale of the Allergist Wife, which is the longest running comedy of the past 25 years. So I turned to Michele, I said, because it's the only comedy in the past. Michele, own it. Own it. I was all, own it.
That is just, and it's probably true. I mean, I will say, how was it, Michele, playing the role of Lee opposite Charles after having played it opposite Linda for so long? Did you feel like it brought new life to you? Did you react differently?
I almost died on the stage.
Really?
I'll tell you what, for me, don't you say anything, Charles Busch. No,
and I'm not going to bring up the pages either.
Okay, I'll tell you what really happened. Hello, darlings. This is Lenny Kazan. I'm so sorry. I'm sick to my stomach. If I go like this, I'll throw up. Okay,
let's get back to Michele. Go back.
Playing off to me, darling. What was it like, darling? Playing off to me on stage at long last.
Oh, no, I was saying how, oh God, well, I already talked about how brilliant he was. I mean, beyond. I mean, there were laughs that he got that I never knew was in the book he wrote. Just,
Oh, wow.
I mean, the script book. So, but for me, we never discussed this, but because my character Lee was a seductress in many different ways, in comical ways, and spewing all kinds of bull, but also she seduces this couple. And there's something that happens to her that I couldn't even begin to manufacture that night because of the staging. You know what I'm saying, Charles?
Yeah.
Some of that, the power of, you know, the uniqueness of one to another was more difficult. But I will tell you, everybody, oh my God, I heard, I'm sure you did, Charles, from so many people about that night and how brilliant it was.
It really was. It was, and readings don't usually get that response. A lot of times, a play that requires movement and action and visuals cannot transfer to a reading situation. Yet I don't feel that I missed anything in this situation.
Yeah, no, it really seemed almost like we were doing the play, and it was thrilling, you know. And it was, you know, it was Linda's idea. You know, she had there'd been a series of reunion productions as one-night events for the Actors Fund. They had done Lucy Arnaz and Robert Klein did their Playing Our Song, and so Linda had this idea, and so she called me, and I said, well, I think plus it was the 20th anniversary since we had first done the play.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem
great. And I assumed that she was going to play her part because you know, she looks great. And she said, no. It's just the idea would be that you should play Marjorie and I'll play the mother, because you know Cheryl Bernheim, who played the mother, passed away a few years ago. So I was shocked. So and as I said, it was not a part that I'd ever particularly coveted or thought about playing, but then I thought, what a great experience to play it with Michele and Tony and Anil, you know, the whole cast, and Linda, the chance to work with Linda as an actor. That was thrilling to do. Yeah.
And she was hysterical.
So
mother, right, Charles?
She, dare we say, she got some laughs that Cheryl didn't get, you know, but she and yet actually I think there was a laugh or two that Cheryl got that Linda didn't. It's just so interesting with actors, you know, and it has nothing to do with even technique or anything. It's just certain things are funny coming out of one actor that, even if it's the exact same line reading, may not be the same with someone else. It's a subtle and interesting thing. In fact, if I could do it again,
for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, well, there were a couple. You know, I had every one of their line readings, every one of them, Michele, Tony, all of them, so stuck in my head. You know, I saw it so many times. 20 years later, I mean, I know exactly how everybody said every line. And you know, Linda, it was so definitive that it seemed foolish to, you know, reinvent the wheel when, you know, I'm going to say it line badly, but so I don't sound like Linda. But there were a couple lines that I tried to do as Linda, but that were so connected to just all who she is, and even the kind of wonderful nasal thing that she can produce. If I did it again, I wouldn't try to do that.
I'm curious, Michele, when you revisited a role 20 years later that you had done so many times, taking even Charles out of the equation, did you approach the role any differently since you had 2 decades of life experience that you didn't have before?
I think when you come back to a role that you played before, you always do. You see it through other eyes, just because of the newness, the discovery of things that maybe you hadn't thought of before. But you know, as I told you, I knew who she was to me. But Charles once said to me, I said, "Tell me about her," because this enigma, this character who was who. And I remember, Charles, you said to me, don't tell me, you said. You decide what you want her to be. because I always thought, as I said before, she could be Johnny Appleseed. She could be in different people's homes and bedrooms.
Or nobody, as you said.
Or she was so sad a character that she needed to grasp anything she could from anybody and hold it dear to her, because she thought maybe that would become her, that she'd be relevant.
I always looked at her as a pastiche, as sort of a composite of little snippets she had grabbed from lots of things. I wasn't sure if she had lived it or not, but I think the fact that we don't know is what makes her so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it could be played different ways. I saw it in a rather simple, direct way, and I like her. I think that, you know, she's a bit of a con artist, and
a little.
She makes the most of a situation when she's there, but I thought she was kind of this fabulous adventuress who ultimately, you know, gets into a situation, and yeah, she's, you know, kind of a big moocher and, you know, living off people, but when she's in a place, she likes to see what good she can do, and, you know, and
I think she gives as much as she gets.
What did you say? What?
Michelle said she changed her mind. She likes her now.
Yeah, I like her. Well, listen, Michelle's so likable. It sort of depends on the actress playing her. You know, I'm not just, you know, because we've got Michelle sitting here, but just you know, you get Michelle's ultimately a very likable actress. I mean, you know, I'm sure you could Michelle played Lady Macbeth. We see something different, but generally speaking, she's a very warm, likable person, and I thought that was helped so that the character and also it's always very interesting too what the public brings because of their associations with that actor, you know, and I think it was they've for so long knew Karen from Knots Landing and Gittel Mosca and you know and the Disney movies, everything that Michelle brought to it, they immediately were going to like her and not, you know, and then would be a little surprised, like, ooh, dear, that wasn't very nice that she did that, but we still like her. In fact, I remember I was in the restroom one time at the Barrymore Theater in the men's room during the run, and these I was standing there at the urinal. these two old men were standing next to me and talking to each other during intermission, and one of them says, "That Michele Lee is still a very attractive woman."
Actually, you told me that.
And then it had the same thing happened. Was what was it? They had, you know, every nonprofit theater has to do high school student matinees, and ever a play was not suited for inner city high school kids. As The Tale of the Allergist Wife, but they had to do it, and they really enjoyed it. And when it was over, didn't like some 14-year-old young kid come up to you and say, "I think you're a very attractive lady."
Just like that. Just like that. That is too funny.
Michele Lee transcends ages and generations.
14 to 80.
Lainey Kazan.
Yeah. Lainey's selling issues of the Playboy collector's item out of the trunk of her car. Charles, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you've got to go do another show, but thank you so much. It was a great surprise.
Oh, it's delightful. And anytime I can spend time with Miss Lee, who I just worship.
Oh, my darling. And I loved your show. You know, everybody went to see. Oh my God. I was with Lynn. Sure. Saw your show. Brilliant. Beyond.
Oh, thank you, darling. Okay, I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you, Charles. We adore you. Bye, darling. Bye. Michelle, we're going to skip over Seesaw because we'll hit that with Lainey some other time.
Okay. We'll get her.
Yeah, we will. We'll get her. But there's something that I want to talk to you about. I don't know if it was after Knots Landing or towards the end of Knots Landing, you started branching out in a very interesting way. And you started I think you were involved in the producing of movies. And the first one was the Dottie West musical. Was that for Lifetime?
No. Was it? No.
I don't remember.
Dottie West wasn't.
Okay.
No, Dottie and I yes, I produced it. My company produced it. I love that movie.
Well, what I loved about it was, number one, I would never have thought of you in this character. But the other thing that I think is interesting is when you see, I probably would never watch a Dottie West biopic. I didn't know anything about her. I wasn't interested. By the end of the movie, and maybe it's a credit to you as an actress or a producer, I was in love with Dottie West. I had felt like I discovered her, and I'm going to just show people a little clip from Dottie West, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Last time I saw him, last time I saw my honey, last time I saw him, he was looking fine, and as he waved goodbye, he said, "Don't cry, I'm coming back, the rain will shine."
I'll be right there.
Last time I saw him, last time I saw my honey, last time I saw him, he was looking fine, and as he waved goodbye, he said, "Don't cry, I'm coming back, so rain will shine."
It's a great scene because it shows so much without anything. It shows the life she had gone through. Fine, and if people have seen the movie, she had already had lots of questions about this guy, and finally sees it, puts on her lipstick, and leaves the room.
That's it. Right.
Love that.
That was Michele Lee singing.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to interrupt you for a second again. So when the movie came out, I don't know how shortly thereafter, there was a soundtrack that one could buy from Michele Lee Productions.
Want it?
No, so I ordered 2 of them. I went on the website. I sent Michele Lee a check, and it didn't say how much shipping was. So like I added $5. She sent me back 2 CDs and a check from Michele Lee Productions that she signed for $2.36. And I said, I could cash this, or I could hold on to this check and screw up Michelle's whole accounting is off by $2.36 because I didn't cash it. But that's the kind of lady you were and are.
Gosh, what a great story.
And if I were in LA, I would have the check I'd show you, but I'm not in LA. But I think was that your first movie to produce?
No. God, I produced 5 or 6 movies. One of them I did. I produced, co-wrote, directed, and acted in. First time. Actually, Barbara Streisand was the first to wear those 4 hats on film. And I was the first to wear those 4 hats on the little screen film.
And sang.
Yeah. And no, I did many, but this was one. Gosh, I'm thinking about all the things I've done. My goodness.
What was your connection with Dottie West? Why Dottie West?
Okay, what happened with Dottie West was I met her once or twice, kind of walking by me when we were working at different things, right? And my husband then, Fred Rappaport, was an executive at CBS in the variety department, along with few other departments, and he loved her. Okay. So he said to me, "Gee, that's such an interesting woman." She passed away, and I waited a long while before I tried to get the rights for it. And I did. And I fell in love with her.
And what a life.
Pardon me?
What a life.
Yeah. Oh my God. She had 3 husbands, each one getting younger.
Yes.
The last one was her last husband was the same age as her kids.
Oh, right.
Right.
And one of them may have or may not have fooled around with her daughter. There's that really fascinating scene when you barge in on the bedroom. Did he touch you? What happened?
Oh, that was Byron. Byron was her second husband. But you know what? He excuse me. He didn't because this is a true story. So
right, of course.
He didn't fool around with her. It was Dottie's head.
But it was in her head, right? Is that she was insecure about him with anyone, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then ends up finding him in the hotel room. So her instincts were right. It may have been the wrong person, but
yeah, she became very jealous of anybody who had youth and was living a kind of. Oh, and as you said, she was looking at this husband just really close because he was one that would fool around. So, but you know, Dottie was the first woman who kind of crossed over, and she first one to win the Grammy and from country, and she was, and then she put on all these Bob Mackie, gorgeous that clip.
Yeah.
And I did get permission to wear probably 90% of the costumes I wore in that movie were hers.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were either let out a little or taken in a little bit.
Right.
And I had her costumer. I had her musicians, Strubble, what is his name? Oh gosh, I because I recorded there too, you know, in Nashville.
Right, and that is a great CD, by the way. If anyone can find it, it's real. I mean, again, you wouldn't think Michele Lee singing a country album, but you really embodied it. And again, scaled down the voice. It wasn't a Broadway belt. It was really an authentic sound.
Yeah.
That must have been interesting. What was it like recording those songs?
Well, also what we did was we recorded the whole of the songs where I had, and so when you listen to this thing, you see the whole thing, full orchestra, everything, and Dottie singers. And the movie had to cut in and out of it. And if I must say so myself, it was done so well that you didn't even realize it was ending and something else was going on. But yeah, I'll tell you, Ed Struble. Okay,
Ed Struble, yep.
He was the music man, and he hired everybody, and he had the Nashville orchestra, people who played with her before.
Oh wow!
But I will say, when I was in there recording, he sometimes that little accent, that country thing, he would stop me and say, "No, it's content."
It's a little correction.
It's a content, and so I go, "Okay, content." No. It's content. Okay, content. Close it up. I mean, it was funny. I was so nervous. I had the
what was the reaction from Dottie West fans? Did you get good feedback from people?
Oh yeah, people loved it. And by the way, because Kenny Rogers just passed away.
Yes.
And Kenny Rogers was in the movie, and we sang 2 of their hit songs together. Oh my God, that was such a joy. And I'm going blank here.
Well, you didn't know I was going to throw this all at you.
No. Yeah. So that was magical, singing with Ken. And I wish it could have been shown again somewhere at the time.
Such a good movie. Yeah, it's not available on DVD, I don't believe.
Now it is.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Sure. Recently, yeah. I made sure.
People should look it up. I mean, it's a great film. It's a great film. They should look it up. But another great film you did after that, and this is, I think, my favorite Michele Lee character, and I'm going to say this now. You have a look, so I think you have an idea what it's going to be. You played Jacqueline Suzanne
Okay.
in Scandalous Me, which I believe
Okay.
did you also produce that?
Yes.
And
I
that now again from Dottie West, I want people to look at this clip.
Oh,
And
honey.
they're I think only like 2 or 3 years apart, but they are a completely different person. So just look at this.
Miss Williams, you don't know how thrilled I am that you like the Josephine manuscript. There are 6 million poodle owners in the United States alone, and every one of them will buy this book.
I would like to represent your book.
You know all the top publishers. Say, does Bennett Cerf have poodles?
I'll ask.
Get this book published, and I know I can sell it.
Come in, Harper. We're just starting.
I won't interrupt. I just thought I'd offer tea.
Oh, sure. 2 saccharin, no cream.
I'm sorry, there's no saccharin.
Fine, get me some sugar.
Let me be honest with you, Miss Suzanne. Finding a publisher for your novelty book won't be as easy.
Do you know
as,
how many times last year I was on radio or television? 83. I counted it from my diary. Now listen to this. What if 83 times last year I could have plugged me?
You.
I mean the book. All that precious airtime, and I didn't use it.
Publishing isn't television.
Why not? It should be.
No.
They know my face. I'm a known commodity. I sold them a product, I'll sell them me.
You.
I mean the book.
I'm still looking for that sugar.
Your girl might need a hand.
That's not my girl. That's Harper Lee.
Harper Lee. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. You see what I mean? If I wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, nobody'd be sending me for saccharin.
I mean, it's a long scene, but it is
No, I laughed.
so entertaining. No, I was watching you. It is so funny. And it is, first off, how ahead of her time to realize the power of television and celebrity to sell your product, AKA yourself.
Right. She was. That's who she was. Jacqueline Suzanne started it, did it. Everything was from her from that moment on. She knew how to sell. And she knew how to sell, well, probably always did, but she married, what was his name? Irving Mansfield.
Right.
He was a publicist and he knew how to do all that. And she just gleaned anything that she could through him. By the way, one of the reasons I got my hands on this, and
yeah, that was my next question.
What?
My question was, how did you get your hands on this?
Irving Mansfield's stepdaughter. Oh God, I might have. Please forgive me if I have it wrong, because she was darling and wonderful, and she took me through. Somebody on your crew, look it up fast.
All right.
So she gave. Oh gosh, what she gave me? She gave me one of her aunts.
Oh wow, yeah, Egyptian, right? That she wore around her neck. Yeah,
and I had so much material from her. Forget it. Just gobs of material. Also, the other thing that I did, and anybody out there who is from a certain persuasion, who really knows Valley of the Dolls very well, if you watch Valley of the Dolls, her book, her movie, okay,
yes.
And then you play this movie,
Scandalous Me.
I gotta tell you, you're gonna be shocked at what we were able to bring into the Jacqueline Suzanne movie, because
including an actress who was in the movie.
You just saw her, Perkins.
Parkins, yep.
Parkins.
Yep. Yeah, no, but that's been the costumes. When you show the behind the scenes in this movie of the actresses and you do the bathroom scene, etc., those costumes are extraordinary.
Copied.
They're identical. Identical,
copied. Part of the scene is as it was in Valley of the Dolls, because she, the writer, was actually writing Valley of the Dolls through experiences she had.
So
And-
now here's a question about those experiences. Here's a clip that I knew nothing about. And this sort of made me realize, oh, what I always thought is true. Take a look.
Good night, everyone. Don't go. It's so early.
Come on. I'm taking you home.
The whole damn party.
Jackie, please.
Ethel, where are you going?
Too much booze and dope. Don't cuddle with me, Jackie.
Ethel, look, just
Irving, get your crazy dyke wife off of me.
son of a bitch. Let me go.
Please, just sign this. Ethel, don't leave. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Ethel, I love you. Don't you know I love you?
Okay. Did she really run down the street screaming, Ethel, I love you?
Oh, she didn't run down the street, maybe, but it was known. I can't remember that far back, but that scene did happen in some form or another. And although people thought there was a relationship, a love relationship between them, I think there was.
I think so too.
I think there was certainly a enamored with who she was and why she was, and again that she wanted part of Jacqueline wanted part of whatever Ethel had, and I know she was in love with her.
So it wasn't just the celebrity. It wasn't just.
Lady, where are you? Oh, God.
So it wasn't just Ethel's celebrity.
Okay, what?
It wasn't just Ethel's celebrity. You think it was also her as a person that Jackie was in love with?
Yeah.
Because Jackie does seem very attracted to celebrity. Not just the person, but, wanting to matter, wanting to be important. And at the end, there's that heartbreaking scene when she goes to see her son for the last time. And when they do the puzzle. I mean, it's just, can I tell you, the reason I'm not great today, last night I found my old VHS. Hold on, now we're getting feedback. Hold on a second. Okay, I found my old VHS of Scandalous Me, and I just wanted those two clips. I ended up sitting here watching the whole movie.
Oh,
and
my God.
The scene with the puzzle and then the scene with her going into that last lunch is just, it's so heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking story that really all she wanted was the love of her father, the love of her son, and to matter.
Yes, absolutely.
And she found it in maybe unhealthy ways, but ways that produce such great art.
Yes. And
I don't know if we should call it great art, but I think it is great art.
Well, it was the ability to sell what anybody would call art or not art, because that was the way she could sell her books, and everybody picked up on it from that day on. And that's how it's done.
It changed publishing. It changed the world.
Publishing. Totally. Is that me ringing?
I don't think so. Oh, no, I think that's my phone. Let it go.
So, God, you're reminding me of so many things. Oh, God, I should go look at me. And
I think you should. I'll come over. We'll watch the movie. We'll have some popcorn. We'll invite Lainey. It's fine.
Oh, God.
So now I'm going to bring it, because, God, we've gone so long, but I'm going to bring it full circle, because I was at this performance at the Hollywood Bowl with Lainey. We were sitting like right near each other. And let's not tell people who is performing with you, which I think is very interesting. But you returned to the Hollywood Bowl and the stage to perform in Maine.
Right.
And so I'm going to just show a clip of you with the very young boy playing Patrick.
Oh, for God's sake. That, ladies and gentlemen, was Ben Platt.
As in Dear Evan Hansen, Tony winner, megastar. Did you know then that he was going to become what he became? I don't know how anyone would know.
Probably not to the degree that he did, but this kid was already doing roles like this from the time he was younger than that. And I did see him on Broadway, okay, in that show.
Sure.
Oh my God.
Dear Evan Hansen, yep.
Yes, I saw it twice. And you know, I got to tell you, I cried.
Oh, yeah.
I went backstage and cried.
I bet.
And he was so dear. I mean, we hugged and everything. It was like, gosh, you know, here I am X amount of years later, and he's the biggest star on Broadway.
And really started with you play as a little boy and you sort of as in a maternal role. I mean, I forgot that it was Ben Platt. And when I was looking for clips last night, I went, Ben Platt was in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, I mean, extraordinary. I'm looking to see, we've got so many comments. All right, here's a comment for you, Michelle. If the right project came along, would you consider Broadway again?
Do I have to dance?
What if I say no? Would you want to go back in a musical or a play? That's interesting.
You know what? I don't know. It's just so incredible being on stage, doing anything really. My home. It's my home.
Of course.
Pardon me?
Of course. No, again, I think that those gypsy roots never leave those people. You know, they breathe that way. They may do films, they may do television, but everyone I've ever talked to said nothing is better than being in front of an audience. And the immediacy.
Yeah, no, really. I would do it again. It would depend on what it was. Of course, I have to be above the title.
Of course.
And you have to slip in that miss thing before.
Yes, miss, exactly. Yes. We have two of my friends. Oh, okay. Nancy Dussault and Val Meyer are watching us. Hi, Val and Nancy.
Hi, Val, Nancy. Mwah, mwah.
We all vacation together in Provincetown.
Really? Sherman, I know you're watching.
Oh, well, we've got so many. There's so many comments. Michelle, we've gone almost an hour and a half. Thank God Lainey wasn't here. We didn't have time for her.
How much am I getting?
The check's in the mail. That $2.36 check, I'll send it back to you.
I love you. We have to talk again.
Oh my God. So again, I know people are mad that we skipped Seesaw, but I'll just ask you this. What was it like? Because this is now personal for you. You were in the hottest musical. Your husband at the time, hottest play. You're really both the toast of Broadway.
Yes.
That's James Ferrantino, for those who don't know.
Yes. Streetcar. He was doing
Streetcar.
Streetcar
I mean, that had to have been a very heady time.
Oh my God. Are you serious? That was unbelievable. I think the piano's tinkling. You know,
that's all right.
Let's do this rather than me going into it now. I would love to either because of Seesaw and what
right.
I would either love to have I'm still here. I'm so sick. You could throw up.
We'll do it with her. We'll do just Seesaw.
We do a Seesaw story then.
Yeah, because I think people
I
want
could
to
say
know.
to her today that I've never said before.
Well, that's what I think. You know, I think it's interesting that you both are so honest, but there's so much people don't know. And that probably you don't know from her side and she doesn't know from yours. We've had a great time, Michelle. You're a dream guest. I adore you. We have to have you back with Lainey, and then we'll also talk to Donna and Joan, and we'll have a Knots Landing show.
Yay, how about that?
Okay. Sweetheart, thank you so much for doing this. I had so much fun.
Yes.
And Tina, thank you for helping us, Tina. I appreciate it.
Tina, are you there? Tina, pick up the phone.
I am.
She is.
Oh, she's there, Tina. So, Tina, I did okay. I didn't go anywhere I shouldn't have, right?
I think you went everywhere you wanted to.
Well, you know, like Michele Lee, try and stop me. So, Michelle, thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast.
Me too.
We'll talk soon and be well.
You too. Safe.
Okay. Bye,
Safe.
sweetheart. Mwah.
Bye-bye. Mwah.
Bye-bye. Everybody, thank you. I know I appreciate you all sticking with us. Do not forget, Billy Masters Live is on every day, every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, God willing, Miss Gloria Allred. We are breaking it all down with Gloria. So, what can I say? And then next week, we're not going to have those people on that we don't like because fuck them. That's what we have to say to them. Thank you for watching. And just remember, if we're here, we're live.